How you doing? I'm Cory from Work the Woods. This episode we're going to talk about arrow selection. Plenty of arrows out there, a lot of big name brands, a lot of cheaper stuff that you can get. A lot of them big name brands even make cheaper ones, and they sell them in Walmart or Dick's or wherever. But there's a lot of different arrows out there. The biggest thing is finding the one that's right for you. You got to make sure you get the right size. Obviously, there's many different sizes of them, different spines, different grains per inch. So you got to make sure when you select your arrow, you're going to get good impact, good momentum, which is measured in slugs, and kinetic energy. There's many different ways if you have a lighter arrow to make that happen as well. But first, we're going to look at all these different arrows that I have down here. So, first arrow I have here is a Victory Decimator. It's this arrow here is actually from Dick's. These are very, very cheap. I shoot these arrows. Evan shoots these arrows. They're about 20. You can get them on sale for $20 for 6 of them. They are 350 spine. Spine weight is based off of how much you are shooting, poundage you're shooting on your bow, and each arrow is different. So you need, if it's a different whatever brand you're going with, you have to find their spine charts and find the arrow that is for your poundage and your draw length. Some of them go by draw length and weight combined. So you need to do that before choosing your arrow as well. These arrows here, like I said, we can get them on sale a lot of times for $20 for 6. They shoot great. We've shot targets out to 100 yards with these targets, and we've hit pretty well with them. And they are a decent arrow, got a good strength to them. Haven't had any problems with them just breaking on us or anything like that. Second one, this is one of my son's arrows. That's why it's a little shorter, but it's a Cabela's brand. It's a Carbon Stalker Extreme, and these are 500 spine. It's for 45 to 60 pounds. He's not quite pulling that much back yet, but I got these for him. They were actually in the bargain cave, and it kind of fit pretty good because they were already cut. Third arrow is Easton Axis. I used to shoot these as well. These are 400 spine. And the grains per inch, these are 9.0s, and I'm not sure what these are.
8.5.
8.5 for these. So they're a little lighter, which means these for me would be a little bit heavier than those. This arrow here, I used to shoot these, and I had very good luck with them, and then I switched. But these things are a lot more expensive, so I switched. That's the thing. I got those decimators. They're only $20 for 6. These are $50-$60 for 6. $10 a piece at least. So,
yeah, and they all are micro diameter arrow compared to the other ones. They're smaller diameter.
These here is a company we ran across at the outdoor show. It's Deer Crossing Archery. These arrows are they have different arrows. They are designed for hunters as well. These are
350.
350 spine, and they're not very heavy arrows. They're very, very light. When I cut my arrows down to my draw length, or the length of my arrows I need, I was actually only at 350 grains with 100 grain field on it. So it's a very, very light arrow. Got these bloodlines, Easton bloodlines. I've shot the bloodline wild things, I believe they're called, before a long time ago. These are just the regular bloodlines, 8.4 GPI, 400 grain. They do a pretty good job. They're pretty good arrows for the most part. This is Warrior, I guess. Who makes these? I believe this is from Walmart.
Mm-mm.
No?
No, those came with my bow.
Oh.
From Bowtech.
Okay, so these came from Bowtech, and they're Warriors. They are 340 spine, 8.9 grains. So, and then this was what my wife started out shooting. Now she shoots something else, but these are very, very light Carbon Express arrows. She got to the point where she was breaking them because she was pulling back too much weight for these arrows, and they're only rated for 45 to 60 pounds. So that's, like I said, that was something that you need to check up on. These are the Easton Full Metal Jackets. These are 340 spine, 5mm. This is generally a carbon arrow inside, just like the regular Axis right here. But then it's got an aluminum casing on the outside of it, and it adds a lot of weight to this arrow. These arrows really pack a punch to them.
Yeah, I think those are 11.3. Those, I think those ones are.
These are
It's either 11.3 or 10.
11.3 GPI at 340 spine, and these things pack a punch. Here is a Speed Freak. Carbon Express makes them. I believe these are one of those ones from Walmart. A lot of times when you get them from Walmart, they're not going to have the spine on them, so I don't know what this spine is on here.
Those are 350s.
But
it's on the box.
They say a lot of times on the arrow what the spine is, but if they don't, they usually give you a poundage of what it's rated for.
Yeah. And with those arrows from Walmart, they're already pre-cut and have the nocks installed.
Yep.
Or not the nocks, sorry, the inserts installed. There is a way, if those arrows are too long for you, you can actually heat them up and pull the insert out, and it will,
Yes.
You can cut those arrows down the length of where you need them and reuse them and reuse the insert.
We have the Easton Carbon Raider. So there's a lot of different types of arrows out there. You got Carbon Express. We got, they got the Maximas and the Eastons, Victory. Deer Crossing. There's a lot of stuff on here.
There is, and I'm sorry to jump in on his, and you heard me say it. This particular arrow right here is the Carbon Express Mayhem, and these actually were from Walmart. They were selling them a couple years ago, and I bought about a dozen of them. And the arrow was 30 inches, something like that. And I cut these down to 28 inches. So like I was saying, I just heated it up ever so slightly. You can use a lighter or something like that, and take a pair of pliers on a field tip, and as you heat it up, just pull those pliers out. Pull it out with pliers, and that glue will loosen up, and then you can cut those arrows down. It's actually a nice, cheap way to get nice arrows, and those arrows fly really good.
All right, so in general, if you look at your arrow too, like you said, these are 8.5, I believe you said.
Yes.
So if you take, for your draw length is going to go from here, right where the knock sits flush with, all the way down to, it's just going to be carbon to carbon is what you want to take for now. And whatever you cut that at, so your draw length might be like 28 inch. You might want these at 28 and a half. You can.
I personally like cutting mine a little bit longer. I know people like it right on the edge.
You can get a little more weight out of it if you want.
Yep.
If you cut them a little longer.
It's a little longer, and also it gives you room from your broadhead to the tip of your fingers.
When you cut these down, that 8.5, basically if you cut it at like say 28 and a half, you're going to take that 28 and a half, 8.5 times 28 and a half, and it should get you generally what just the bare shaft would weigh. It may not be perfect, but it's going to be pretty close. Then you're going to put in your insert, which is going to add weight. Your field point, it'll add weight. Also your knock and your fletchings will also add weight. And it depends on what kind of field points you get. Me and Evan, we shoot 100 grain. You can get 125s. I think they might have 150s and whatnot. I mean, it's really whatever works for you. We get enough kinetic energy and momentum out of the 100 grain for pretty much, with our bows, pretty much everything in North America. I mean, I would probably, if I went to for a moose or something like that, I'd bump up to 125s probably to get a little bit more kinetic energy and momentum, to get that little punch through power.
Well, that could be done by just changing your arrow, really, too.
Yes, yeah, you could do that by changing your arrow if you want to. But your knock will add a few grains, like 10 maybe, and whatnot. So when it's all said and done, my arrows are with the decimators are about 380 grains. Maybe just a little bit more, a little bit less, plus one or two here and there.
Well, with the regular knock, they're about 380.
Yeah,
mine are 389. With the Luminoc on them, that adds probably another over the stock knock. That's
so this right here is a Luminoc. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if it'll light up for us. I think it's thinking the battery's dead or whatnot. But
no, just press it down.
You guys smelling?
It's
Is it dead?
It's dead. Yeah, the battery's dead in it, but it is a Luminoc. They range from around 20 grains to 25. I think 17 to 25 grains, I believe, is what they average, and they add, so they'll add a little bit of weight to your arrow. Evan's getting a Luminoc here. He's got a green one here, so. Which is a nice feature you can have. You can add, there's many different types of Nocs out there. We use Luminocs. They're very bright. They hold their battery lasts a long time in these things. And these are with the orange. So we got the green, we got the orange Luminocs. They both add a little weight to your arrows. Add a little bit makes it easy to find if you're shooting that last light there. It makes it easy to find. You can see where the deer kind of goes if it's stuck in it. I mean, it's kind of beneficial. Didn't realize there was broadheads on there. So when you go and you take the time to figure out what kind of arrow you want, you get your arrow. Then you have to set your bow up for. You got to figure out what your bow's shooting. More for the advanced people here. On here, it's you're gonna get a chrono. Evan's got a chrono. We shoot our arrows through, and we chrono our arrows to see how fast we're shooting out of our bow. We know what our speed of our bows are supposed to be around, with a 350 grain arrow. But this is a chrono. If you've never seen one before, you basically shoot the arrow through here, and this thing picks up on how fast it actually is traveling through. To do that, we like to shoot like 3, take your average, and then we also have arrow scales. You just take the scale, put your arrow on there, figure out what it weighs, and there's actually plenty of different arrow calculators out there that you can use to, arrow calculators out there you can use to find out your slugs, which is your momentum, and your kinetic energy. I believe I was looking online, reading up on some articles, and they said that I seen a thing that said in order to kill a whitetail, you only need like 45 or 50 foot-pounds of kinetic energy.
Realtree has a really good calculator for your setup.
Yep.
You can go on their
Carbon
website.
Express has another good one as well. And I believe it said something like 50 foot-pounds of kinetic energy or 45 foot-pounds of kinetic energy for a whitetail is all you really need. So, I mean, that's not very much. If you look at any of our bows, not all these bows, but like the bigger name bows that we have that we actually shoot, we're shooting fast enough that, I mean, we're getting 80, 90 foot-pounds of kinetic energy on some of these bows. So, and the more you have, more weight you have on the arrow, pretty much the better in most cases.
Yeah, your kinetic energy is going to drop a little bit, but your slugs are going to go up.
Your arrow might drop off a lot if you got a real heavy arrow. But the thing with the heavy arrow is you got a lot of momentum, which you got a lot of slugs. The more slugs is more or less the power that's going to carry with the arrow, and the kinetic energy is what the impact pretty much is going to be. So in order to maybe heavy up make your arrows a little heavier if you need to, because you got, say, like for these right here,
Brass inserts.
but you got brass inserts up here. You got, like, you put Luminox on there, add a little weight. They also have attachments in the back, I believe, that you can put weight in the back of your arrow. There's all kinds of stuff out there you can use to add weight to arrows. Matter of fact, me and Evan did a kind of a crazy thing a few years ago. I seen a thing, somebody was taking weed whacker line, and we took the knock off and we slid pieces of weed whacker line that was the length of the thing, put 3 strands in there, and it was loud, and it shot fairly normal, but it added a lot of weight. We were going at like 500 and some grain arrows, I think. When it was all said and done, we put like 3-4 strands in there. It was pretty crazy. I've never tried to shoot a deer with something like that, so I don't know how it would work out, but it was something that we tried. It was pretty neat. So, but
I think it would do the job.
yeah, and you can also get different types of fletchings as well. These are blazer vanes on here. They also have, we just actually kind of put this one on today. We're just trying it out. These are the Nap Hellfires. They're basically like a wrap, and you just shrink them down. You're supposed to put them in water. We tried it out with a heat gun to see if it would work, and it actually did work as long as you didn't run the heat gun too hot, and it started melting it there, as you can see. But
Still works.
they're a little different. They got fusion vanes, and then they also have there's also vanes that are long, 4-inch vanes instead of these short ones that you can get. It really just depends on your preference, and you know, if you really want to get down to the actual grains of your arrow, you might weigh them or something. But I've never really bothered with it. I just shoot pretty much these blazer vanes. They work out great for me. So
Now, as far as the scales, as the scales go,
yeah, scales. These things, you can get them at a lot of different sports stores. This one here, Evan actually picked up from
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight.
It's like $5.
$5.
Now it does
Yeah.
grams,
But it doesn't do grains. That's important because they're different. So if you go online, you can go online and just Google it and find out
you can actually do a calculator online.
Yeah, there's a calculator online. I'll tell you the difference. So that's what Evan's got to do with his. I actually have an arrow scale at my house that I bought from Cabela's. It was like $30, and it actually has a spot thing that you can actually set the arrow in. It's like a little cup, and it has the weight and everything and whatnot. But
honestly, for $5,
yeah, for $5, if you're on
versus
if you're on a
yours.
budget, that's the way to go right there.
And I tested that against the arrow scale that you had, and they were almost identical.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's completely up to you. However deep your pockets are, I should say. So when choosing your arrow, there's a lot out there. Price is a big thing for some people. I mean, you can go to Walmart and get them for $5 to $7 a piece. You can go to your pro shop or whatever, and they'll have an assortment of arrows. I've walked into pro shops where they've had like 100 different arrows sitting there in boxes. It really just depends on what you want, what you want for your setup. It's personal preference. We both used to shoot these Axis, and we switched to these, and they shot almost identical, pretty much to where I didn't even have to re-sight in my bow. That's how close they were. Now, the price is way different. For a dozen of these, it's like $100 and some dollars, $120 for a dozen of these, compared to $40 a dozen. So, I mean, it's your preference. It's whatever you can afford. If you can't afford an expensive one, there is inexpensive ones out there for you to use. And, I mean,
I've hit bullseye at 100 yards with those decimators.
Mm-hmm. So there's many different types of. One other thing with arrows is the knock. If you get a regular knock, and even with the Luminox, each arrow has different size nocks for the dimensions of the arrow to fit down inside. So you have to make sure that when you get your Luminox that you get the proper ones. They have a chart for everything. You can actually just click on your arrow pretty much, and it'll tell you which ones to get. Some of them use the same as others, like these decimators use the same as these deer hunter ones. So you just have to see which ones they are and make sure they work and whatnot. But I mean, there it is. There's a bunch right here. We've shot 30 different arrows here, and this ain't even all of them. I got some at my house that I didn't even bring with me, but. It's personal preference when it comes to it. There's just many ways you can make your arrow, like I said, heavier if you need to get a little more kinetic energy with the slugs and whatnot. Just the most important thing is to make sure you get the proper size for your bow setup.
Luminox are brighter, more durable, and with replaceable batteries, the longest lasting compound and crossbow lighted nocks on the market, period. When your moment of truth comes, rely on the only lighted nock trusted by the best. Luminox. Light 'em up at luminox.com.
It's here, the most innovative field dressing kit ever, developed by Raptor Razor. Its huge, ergonomically designed hook on the big game skinner cuts quick with precision. The Mako cuts through the toughest of places, saves you time in the field. Each kit comes with multiple blades, completely interchangeable. It's like no other knife made. For the full line of accessories, go to our website, www.raptorrazor.com. That's raptorrazor.com.